This video is intended to educate and inform. It draws on science, history, and cultural narratives to explore human origins. It is not intended to promote division, but understanding. Have you ever paused to ask yourself, where did white people actually come from? Not the myths, not the assumptions, but the real science-backed story. Why do some humans have light skin while others have dark? What happened along the way that made us look so different? The answer may surprise you, because this story isn't just about skin. It's about survival, migration, adaptation, and the ideas that shape the world we live in. In this video, we're unpacking one of the most misunderstood topics in human history. We'll look at the biblical narrative in Genesis 9:18 to 29, focusing on Noah's sons after the Great Flood. The migration of Japheth into the cold, the invention of racial categories, mutation and transformation, how skin tone adapted to new environments, when light skin symbolized affliction in ancient texts, and ultimately, the African origin of all humanity. This isn't just a biology lesson, it's a window into humanity's shared roots. Let's journey to the origin of what it means to be white. And trust me, you'll never look at race the same way again. The world had ended. The floodwaters consumed every hill, every home, every heart. Only Noah, his family, and the animals of the ark survived the judgment. As the waters retreated, humanity began again on the highlands of Mount Ararat, what is today Armenia. Here, the story of people began anew, not with one group, but with three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Each would become the ancestor of many nations. From Shem came the Semitic peoples, black-skinned tribes of Arabia, Assyria, and Elam. From Ham came the great African civilizations, Cushites, Egyptians, Canaanites, and early Dravidian peoples. Ham's descendants pioneered pyramids, developed writing, and charted the stars long before Europe saw its first wheel. Japheth, the youngest, migrated northward into colder, less forgiving lands beyond the Caucasus Mountains. At this stage, there were no white people. There were only humans, brown, black, and bronze. Skin tone held no social meaning. Names like Moors, Cushites, and Phoenicians referred to culture and geography, not color. But as time passed, dispersion gave rise to distinction. Japheth's descendants entered unfamiliar colder regions, through the Caucasus, into the forests of Europe and the steppes of the north. These were the Japhites, Thracians, Gauls, Scythians, and early Greeks. They would become the ancestors of the Celts, Saxons, Franks, and others who shaped Western Europe. But they didn't emerge as white. Centuries of exposure to less sunlight triggered a genetic adaptation. Skin gradually lightened to produce more vitamin D. Features changed to suit climate. This was not about superiority, it was survival. A biological response to environmental pressures. Even in early Europe, memories remained of the darker-skinned peoples they descended from. Civilization came not from within, but from contact with the South. Phoenicians brought writing. Moors brought mathematics. Africans shared knowledge of architecture and medicine. Yet Europe remained quiet, tribal, fragmented, until it reawakened. It wasn't until the Enlightenment, ironically an age of reason, that race as we know it was invented. In the 18th century, German scientist Johann Blumenbach classified humanity into 5 races: Caucasian, Mongoloid, Malayan, Ethiopian, and American. He placed Caucasians, the light-skinned people of Europe, at the top. And with this categorization, the world was reshaped. People were no longer just defined by land or language, but by skin. Whiteness became idealized. Blackness became marginalized. This wasn't science. It was ideology dressed in science. A justification for colonization, slavery, and exclusion. A myth shaped by power structures and reinforced through repetition. It spread globally. Institutions enforced it. And its legacy echoes to this day. Race became a tool, skin became a system, and color became the lens through which humanity was ranked. The further from blackness, the closer to so-called purity in the Western imagination. But the truth never changed. Modern genetics confirms skin color is an adaptation. Mutations in genes like SLC24A5 and MC1R affected melanin production. This wasn't evolution towards something better. It was a survival response to different geography. We see traces of this in blonde Aboriginals of Australia and in albino Africans with pale skin and African features. Genetics proves appearance is fluid. Ancestry runs deeper than tone. Whiteness, then, is not a race. It's a regional adaptation. It was not a divine trait, but a result of isolation, climate, and necessity. But once this adaptation was rebranded as superior, history was rewritten. Ancient black civilizations were erased from textbooks. Egyptian statues were defaced. Dark-skinned rulers and thinkers were replaced by lighter depictions. Even scripture has clues that challenge our modern assumptions. In the book of Exodus, Moses puts his hand in his cloak. When he pulls it out, it is white as snow, a sign of disease. It then returns to normal, a temporary affliction, not a reward. Miriam, Moses' sister, challenges authority and is punished. Her skin turns white and she is isolated for a time. Gehazi, the servant of Elisha, lies and is cursed. His skin turns white, and so do the generations after him. These aren't glorifications of light skin, they are warnings. In these biblical stories, blackness was never portrayed as a curse. Lightness, when mentioned dramatically, was often a sign of imbalance or affliction. Could it be that our modern racial categories are not just scientifically flawed, but also scripturally misunderstood? Today, science stands firm. Humanity began in Africa. The first humans were black. From them came all peoples, all shades, and all cultures. Migration shaped diversity. But Africa was the root. The black woman is not only the mother of civilization, she is the mother of every nation on earth. From ancient India to early Mesoamerica, dark-skinned features appear in sacred art. The Moors brought Europe out of the Dark Ages. Timbuktu preserved knowledge while much of Europe struggled for survival. History has always been more colorful than we were told. Even today, most of the world is black and brown. But the myth of white dominance lingers. Not because it's true, but because it's been repeated. Yet now, we reclaim the story. This is not a tale of blame. It's a story of beginning, of how identity was constructed, of how power shaped perception, and of how truth in time always resurfaces. Race was never truly about color. It was about control. And today we control the narrative. You've heard what schools didn't teach, what textbooks left out, what churches rarely discussed. The concept of race, as we know it, was shaped by social forces, not nature. And whiteness as an idea was never destiny, it was definition. But we don't have to live within those definitions, because in the end, we are one species, one family, born in Africa, shaped by the earth, and capable of transcending false divides. When we embrace our shared origins, we open the door to empathy, understanding, and healing. So share this story. Let it echo in classrooms, churches, and homes. Let our children know who they are and where they come from. Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you found this journey eye-opening, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more deep dives into the real story of us all. Thanks for watching. And remember, our differences tell a story, but they don't divide us.